The button on Mars. Ben stood alone on the dusty red surface of Mars. The wind was soft, almost like a whisper, but there was no one else to hear it. He looked around at the silent rocks and empty sky. Everyone else from the research crew had left 2 days ago. Only Ben remained behind to clean up and pack the last equipment. He didn't mind. In fact, he liked the silence. Inside the small research base, he sat at the computer console, bored. The readings were the same as always. Dust. More dust. Rocks. Sometimes a strange blip would show up on the scanner, but command said it was just background noise. Ben wasn't sure. 2 hours later, he grabbed his helmet and walked out to explore a spot behind the base. The ground there had a strange metal shine. The rover's scanners had once picked up heat from deep underground, but nobody looked deeper. Now, with nothing else to do, Ben decided to check it out. He used a laser tool to melt through the thin layer of red rock. To his surprise, it opened up like a door. Beneath him was a dark hole, like a tunnel leading down into the planet. Ben climbed inside carefully, flashlight in hand. The air was dry and warm. He walked deeper, heart beating faster. After a few turns, he entered a wide room made of black metal, smooth like glass. In the center of the room was a round platform. On top of it sat a small console with a glowing blue button. Ben blinked. It looked new, too new for something hidden for thousands of years. No dust, no damage, just that soft blue glow. He looked around. No signs, no warnings, just the button. He should have reported it. That was the rule. But Ben had been alone too long. His curiosity was stronger than his caution. "I just want to see what it does," he whispered. He reached out and pressed the button. Nothing happened at first. Then the ground shook beneath his feet. The metal walls lit up with strange symbols. Lines of energy moved across the floor, up the walls and into the ceiling. The air became heavy, like something big was waking up. Ben stumbled back, eyes wide. Outside, the sky over Mars began to change color, turning from soft red to a glowing purple. Alarms went off in the base above. Ben ran back through the tunnel and climbed out. When he reached the surface, he gasped. The clouds were spinning above him. A strange sound filled the air, like a deep hum mixed with whispers. It wasn't just sound. He could feel it in his bones. He ran back to the base and jumped into the control room. All screens were flashing. The radar showed a strange pulse coming from the ground right where he pressed the button. A message flashed on the comm screen. "Signal received. Response incoming." Ben froze. "Incoming?" he whispered. "From where?" Then the screen went black. All power in the base shut down. Lights, heat, everything. Only emergency lights stayed on, dim and red. Ben sat in the silence. Then he heard it, a voice, soft and strange, coming through the static of the radio. "You have awakened us," it said. Ben's hands shook. "Who are you?" he whispered. "No, answer." Then outside something moved. He looked through the window. At the edge of the dark Mars horizon, a tall shape stood. Too big to be human, too thin to be a robot. It didn't move like anything he'd seen before. The figure stared straight at the base. Ben stepped back, his heart pounding. Suddenly, the base's backup screen blinked once. A single message appeared. "They are coming." The Watchers arrive. Ben didn't sleep that night. He sat in the dark base, eyes fixed on the small backup screen. The message kept flashing. "They are coming." Outside, the tall shape was gone, but the feeling stayed. That strange heaviness in the air. That cold breath down his neck, like he was not alone anymore. Ben checked every camera. Static. The radar? Still dead. Only one thing worked now. A small emergency radio. He tried to call Earth Command again. "Base 17 to command," he said. "Do you copy? Something is wrong here." Only static. He leaned back and sighed. "Great." Suddenly, the radio crackled. A deep voice broke through. We copy Base 17, the voice said. Report your status. Ben felt relief rush in. I found something. A room under the surface. I pressed a button and now the base lost power. Something strange is happening. The sky changed. I saw something. There was silence on Teal. The other end. Too long. Then the voice came back, but different now. Cold. Sharp. Like it wasn't human. You should not have touched it, the voice said. Ben froze. What? You were not supposed to wake them. Before he could answer, the signal cut off. Ben stared at the radio, breath shallow. Suddenly, boom, the ground shook again. Not from below this time, from the sky. He ran to the window and looked up. A small fireball was streaking through the purple clouds, heading fast toward the red hills outside the base. It crashed with a loud blast, far, but not far enough. Ben grabbed a jacket, a light, and stepped out into the cold Martian night. He followed the smoke trail to a rocky crater. His boots crunched softly on the dust. The crater was deep, and something moved inside it. At first, he thought it was a machine. Metal shimmered under the dim sky, but then it stood up. It was tall, taller than any human. Its skin looked like silver stone, smooth and glowing, eyes bright like stars, and it spoke. You're late, the being said. Ben stumbled back. What are you? The being stepped forward. I am Lyra. I am a watcher. A what? Lyra looked at him. We were placed here to guard the seal. You broke it. I didn't mean to, Ben shouted. I was just curious. Lyra tilted her head. Curiosity is how all disasters begin. Ben looked around nervously. What did I wake up? Something old, she said. Something angry. Something that remembers the war. Ben shook his head. I don't understand. Lyra pointed to the base in the distance. That place is not safe. Not anymore. They are coming. For the device. And for you. Who? Who's coming? Not just aliens, she said. Your own kind. They will see you as a threat now. Ben's voice cracked. Why? Because you hold the signal. She stepped closer. Her glowing hand touched Ben's chest. He felt a strange warmth. The signal is inside you now, Lyra said. It marked you. They will track you, hunt you. You must leave this planet. Ben laughed, but it wasn't funny. I can't just fly away. I don't even have a ship. Lyra looked up. Then we must find one before they find us. Just then, a loud hum filled the air. The clouds above them opened, and a strange, dark ship appeared in the sky. It didn't belong to Earth, and it didn't look friendly. Ben's eyes widened. What is that? Lyra's face turned serious. A collector. One of many. It senses the signal. It's here to take it. And if you fight it, she looked him in the eyes, it will take you. Ben turned to run, but Lyra grabbed his hand. Wait, she said. You need to see this. She opened her other hand and showed him a glowing crystal cube. Inside, flickers of memory danced. Ben saw flashes, images of an ancient war, planets burning, armies falling, a giant machine waking in darkness. What is this? He whispered. You, past, Lyra said. And maybe your future. The ship above roared louder. A spotlight beamed down, locking onto Ben. Lyra pulled him close. If you want to live, she said, follow me. She turned and ran. Ben had no choice. He followed her into the shadows of Mars. Hunted by both worlds, Ben ran through the dust, breath sharp in his chest. Behind him, the sky glowed with strange lights. The dark ship hovered, scanning the ground. Its beam swept the rocks like a silent predator. Beside him, Lyra moved fast and smooth. Her feet barely touched the ground. She didn't sweat. She didn't speak. She just ran. Ben almost tripped on a loose rock. Where are we going? To the tunnels, Lyra said, before they close. Tunnels. No time to explain. They reached a crack in the red cliff. Lyra waved her hand over the wall. A section of stone shimmered and vanished. Ben blinked. "That's not normal." "Neither am I," she said. They ducked inside. The entrance sealed behind them. Now they were in darkness. Only Lyra's skin glowed faintly, lighting the tunnel. They moved deeper underground. "What is that thing chasing us?" Ben asked. Lyra finally spoke. "It's a collector drone, built to harvest power, made from the bones of machines and the minds of the dead." Ben stared. "You're kidding." Lyra shook her head. "It has no voice, no fear, no mercy. And now it wants you." Ben leaned against the tunnel wall, trying to breathe. "This is crazy. 2 days ago I was fixing solar panels. Now I'm running from death ships and talking to aliens." "You're not just running," she said. "You're changing." Ben frowned. "What do you mean?" She held up her cube again. "The device you touched, it chose you." Ben laughed, bitterly. "Yeah, lucky me. You don't understand. Your DNA activated it. It only responds to a certain kind of human." Ben looked at her. "Why me?" Lyra hesitated. "Because you're not fully normal." "What?" She looked away. There was a mission, years ago. Earth sent a ship to deep space. Only one child was born during that trip. The child came back with changes. Ben froze. "My parents never told me much about where I was born, just that it was off-world." Lyra nodded. "That child was you." Ben sat down, stunned. Meanwhile, high above Mars, Earth Command had received a message. Ben's image flashed on giant screens. A voice spoke. "Subject Benjamin Hale is in contact with alien technology. Threat level, unknown. Orders, recover or terminate." Back in the tunnels, Lyra and Ben stopped at a strange door. It was round, ancient, covered in glowing lines. "This is our way out," Lyra said. "To where?" "To Titan," she replied. "We can get help there, others like me, others who remember the war." Ben looked uneasy. "You keep saying war. What war?" She stared into the dark. "A war that never ended. It just went quiet. Until you woke it up." Suddenly, a loud hum echoed through the tunnel. Ben turned. "What was that?" Lyra's glow dimmed. "They found us." The stone walls behind them began to crack. The tunnel trembled. Something big was breaking through. Lyra pushed Ben forward. "Go, now!" The door opened with a sharp hiss. Inside was a silver pod, just big enough for two. Lyra climbed in. Ben followed, heart racing. As they sealed the pod, something burst into the tunnel behind them. Ben saw it, just for a second. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't alive. It was something between a face made of glass, eyes that looked like stars dying, metal limbs twisted like vines. It screeched. Then the pod launched. They shot through a narrow tube at high speed. Lights blurred outside. "Where are we going?" Ben shouted. "Up," Lyra said. "To orbit, then to Titan." The pod shook. Something hit it from behind. Ben looked through a small window. Another pod was chasing them. "Let me guess," he muttered. "Not a friend." Lyra pressed buttons fast. "No, that one is human." Ben blinked. "Human? They want you too. The signal inside you, they want to use it." Ben gritted his teeth. "I didn't ask for this." "You don't get to choose fate," she said, "but you can choose what you do with it." Back at Earth Command, a woman in a sharp uniform stood in front of a glowing map. She tapped Ben's face on the screen. "I want him found," she said. "He has what we need." "Permission to kill?" She smiled coldly. "Not yet. First, bring him home." In space, the escape pod shook one last time. Then it broke free from Mars's orbit. They were heading into deep space. But behind them, two ships, one alien, one human, followed close. Ben looked at Lyra. "What happens now?" She met his eyes. "Now, we run, and we learn who you really are." Escape to Titan. The stars outside the pod moved slowly, silent, endless. Ben sat with his knees pulled to his chest. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He had just escaped Mars, outrun a ghost machine, and now he was flying through space beside an alien woman with silver skin. It didn't feel real. Lyra sat across from him, her face calm, but distant. "How far is Titan?" Ben asked quietly. Lyra looked at the screen. 9 hours, if the engine holds. And if it doesn't? "We won't talk about that," she said. Ben tried to smile. He couldn't. Instead, he looked at the strange cube in her hand. "What is that thing, really?" Lyra held it up. Inside the glowing glass, shapes moved like water, but they weren't shapes, they were memories. "This is a memory core," she said. "It holds the last recordings of the First War, the war that almost ended everything." Ben leaned closer. "And you were part of it?" "I was created for it," Lyra said softly. "I was built to guard knowledge, but not to fight. I watched entire worlds fall. I saw what the collectors did." Ben stared at her. "Why didn't anyone stop them?" "They were too fast, too clever. They don't destroy with weapons. They erase. They rewrite. They take what makes you you." Ben swallowed hard. "And now," she said, "they want you." Hours passed. Ben drifted in and out of sleep. In his dreams, he saw cities burning, people running, a voice whispering, "He is the gate. The gate must open." He woke up gasping. Lyra looked at him. "You saw it?" Ben nodded. "What does it mean?" She hesitated. "The device you touched, it's not just a signal, it's a gatekeeper. Long ago it kept something locked away. Something not meant to return." Ben whispered. "And now I opened it." "Yes." He stood up. "Then I have to fix it, I have to close it again." Lyra shook her head. "It's not that simple. You don't have the key. You are the key." Suddenly, alarms beeped. The pod shook. Ben grabbed the wall. "What now?" Lyra checked the display. "We're being pulled. Tractor beam." "Who is it?" She didn't answer, just stared. Outside the window, a massive black ship appeared. It wasn't alien, it was human. "Earth Command," Ben whispered. The pod shook harder. "They've locked onto us," Lyra said. "They're forcing a dock." Ben's face went pale. "But they think I'm dangerous." "They don't just think it. They know it." With a loud hiss, the pod was swallowed into the side of the command ship. Silence followed. Then, clang, the door opened. A human soldier pointed a weapon at Ben's chest. "Step out. Hands up." Ben raised his arms. "I didn't do anything." "Wrong," he shouted. "I didn't choose this." The soldier didn't move. A tall woman stepped forward, short black hair, cold eyes, sharp voice. "I'm General Rice," she said. "You activated an unknown alien weapon. You're a threat to Earth." Lyra stood beside Ben. "He's not a weapon. He's the lock. And now, the only way to stop." "What's coming?" General Rice narrowed her eyes. "Then maybe we take the lock apart and find out how it works." Ben's heart dropped. Before anyone could move, the ship's lights flickered. Then the screens flashed red. "Unidentified. Signal detected." Lyra's voice dropped low. "It's them." Outside, the stars seemed to bend. A long, thin shadow moved across the ship. Then, darkness. The lights died. Gravity failed. Soldiers floated. Panic spread. Ben felt something tug at his mind. A voice. "You are not ready. Give us the core," he screamed, grabbing his head. Lyra reached for him, glowing brighter, but the shadow was already inside. In the chaos, Ben felt himself slipping. He fell into a dream, but it wasn't his own. He saw children, running across silver fields, an alien mother whispering to her baby, the sky tearing open. Then he was back, on the floor of the human ship. Breathing hard, the power came back on. The shadow was gone. For now. But everything had changed. Ben stood up slowly. The soldiers stared at him like he was a ghost. Even Rice looked shaken. What did you see? She asked. Ben looked her in the eyes. Not what's coming, he said. What's already here. The traitor within the ship was quiet again, but not peaceful. Ben sat in a sealed room on the lower deck. One camera watched him. 2 guards stood outside the door. They didn't speak. They didn't blink much either. He wasn't sure if they feared him or what followed him. Across the ship, General Rice watched a slow replay on a giant screen. It showed the moment the shadow touched Ben. The lights, the way time seemed to stop. And then the voice, cold, ancient, and loud inside everyone's head, "You are not ready." Rice paused the video. "He's connected," she said softly. "But to what?" Lyra sat in another room, alone. Her skin had dimmed. Her hands trembled. A rare thing for someone built for war and knowledge. She opened her memory cube again. Inside, a figure flickered. A human face. Male. Kind eyes. A voice saying, "Or protect the child." She whispered, "I failed once, not again." Ben stared at the wall. "I didn't want this," he said out loud. The door opened. A man in a white coat stepped inside. Short, round glasses. A soft smile. "Ben," the man said. "My name is Dr. Hensley. I'm here to help." Ben sat up straighter. "Are you a scientist?" "Yes," Hensley said, "but also a friend. I knew your mother." Ben froze. "That's not possible. My mother died before I was born." Hensley smiled sadly. "That's what they told you, but it's not the full truth." Ben felt cold. "Then what is?" Hensley looked around, then leaned closer. "She worked on the project, the one that sent humans deep into space. You were born near a system no human had touched before. And she believed you came back, changed." Ben's hands clenched. "Why are you telling me this now?" Hensley sighed. "Because you need to know who you are, and what's inside you." He opened a small black case. Inside was a thin metal device. A scanner. "May I?" Ben nodded. Hensley held it near Ben's chest. The scanner beeped. Lights turned red. Then, a glowing symbol appeared over Ben's heart. Ben stared at it. "What is that?" Hensley whispered. "It's a mark. A seal. Not human." Ben's breath caught. "So I really am not fully me?" "You are you," Hensley said, "but also more." The door suddenly slid open. Lyra stood there, eyes glowing again. "Step away from him," she said. Hensley frowned. "Lyra, please, I'm helping him." "No, you're not," she said. She raised her hand. The scanner flew from Hensley's fingers and hit the wall. Ben stood. "Wait, what's going on?" Lyra stared at the doctor. "He's not your friend. He's the traitor." Security stormed in. Rice followed close behind. "What's happening?" she demanded. Lyra pointed at Hensley. "He works with the collectors. He's the bridge." Hensley's eyes changed. His skin shimmered. Then he laughed. The voice that came out wasn't his own. "Very clever," it said. But too late. Moved faster than any human should. Grabbed the scanner, smashed it. The lights flickered. A loud alarm echoed through the ship. Ben grabbed Lyra. "What's happening now?" "He marked the ship," she said. "They're coming." In the control room, a black shape blinked into orbit. No sound. No light. Just presence. The collector. Fleet had arrived, but not to destroy, to collect. Back in the lab, Hensley dropped to his knees. His body cracked, melted, and vanished. Only dust remained. Rice looked around. "Evacuate the lower decks. Move Ben and the alien to secure quarters." But Lyra grabbed Ben's hand. "We need to leave this ship. Now." Ben nodded. "How?" Lyra looked up. "I have one last way." They ran through the halls. Ships rocked as strange energy hit the outer shields. Ben looked back once and saw something that didn't make sense. A mirror, showing a version of him standing still. Cold eyes. not moving. Then it was gone. "Lyra," he yelled. "I saw something, another me." She didn't look back. "That's what they want, to copy you, to replace you. But only the real you can stop them." They reached the hangar. One small craft was still there. Lyra climbed in. "Come on." Ben looked out the window. The stars were wrong. Too many. Too close, like they were watching. He turned away and jumped into the ship. The door sealed shut and they escaped into the dark once again. The awakening. The small escape craft moved silently through dark space. Ben sat in the co-pilot seat staring at his hands. They felt strange. Warm, like something inside was burning softly. He hadn't slept since they left the Earth Command ship. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw stars falling, and himself standing in the middle, glowing like a sun. Lyra piloted the ship without speaking. Her eyes stayed focused, but her hands trembled just slightly. Ben noticed. "You're afraid," he said. She nodded. "Because I know what happens next." Ben leaned back. "I wish I didn't start this." She looked at him. "You didn't. You were born into it." Ben clenched his fists. "Then why me? What makes me so special?" Lyra reached into her suit and pulled out something new. A smooth silver plate, no bigger than a coin. She pressed it to Ben's temple. Instantly, his mind exploded with images. But they weren't memories. They were codes. Ancient symbols. Star. Maps. Languages that never reached Earth. He saw planets blooming with color and then burning to ash. He saw beings of light, fleeing a storm of shadow, and he saw himself, standing between the two. Ben screamed. He fell to the floor of the ship, curling in pain. His chest glowed again, brighter than ever. Lyra knelt beside him. "It's starting. You're waking up." In the distance, the planet Titan came into view, a ringed beauty floating in silence. But something was wrong. Smoke rose from one of the outposts. As the ship got closer, they saw it. The base had been destroyed. Lyra's voice was hollow. "We're too late." Ben stood behind her, still glowing faintly. "Did the collectors do this?" "No," Lyra said. "This was done from inside." They landed anyway. The base was silent. Doors broken, walls burned. But one thing still worked. The heart of the command room, an old machine blinked with a soft blue light. Lyra walked to it. "This is an archive keeper," she said. "It stores last messages." Ben watched her place her hand on it. The machine whirred. Then a voice spoke. It wasn't human. It was calm, sad. "If he is listening, tell him we tried. We believed in him. But the bond is not complete. He must choose the light, or everything will be lost." Ben's heart pounded. "What bond?" Lyra turned to him. "You were always connected, to the gate, to the enemy, and to us. But the bond must be finished. You must become one with the core." Ben stepped back. "What happens if I do?" She looked away. "You'll stop being only human." He looked down at his hands again. They glowed now, even when he didn't try. "Then maybe I was never just human," he whispered. That night, Ben sat alone outside the broken base, watching the stars. He thought about Earth, about his parents, about everything he would never have again. Then he felt it, a soft hum in the air, a call deep inside his chest. He followed it, down into the ground, through a broken stairway, into a chamber made of crystal and stone. At the center was a large orb, pulsing softly. He stepped close. The orb lit up. It showed him everything. The real truth. He was not the only one. There were others like him, born from stars, part human, part something older. Long ago they were sent to protect the seal on the gate, but they were betrayed from the inside. Only one child survived. That child was Ben. The seal was never meant to be forever, only passed on when the next guardian was ready. Ben fell to his knees. "I didn't ask for this," he whispered. The orb responded, "But you answered. You came back. You remembered. Ben reached out and touched it. Outside, Lyra looked up at the sky. A bright light shot into the clouds. The ground shook. The burned trees glowed. She smiled through tears. He's doing it. Inside the chamber, Ben floated now. Light poured from his eyes, his memories flowed into the orb, his pain, his love, his fear. The orb changed. It turned gold, then clear, then vanished. Ben fell gently back to the ground. When he opened his eyes, everything was quiet. He stood up slowly. Lyra ran in, stopped when she saw him. His glow was gone, but his eyes had changed. They were calm, deep, like someone who had seen every star and still wanted to protect them. "Are you okay?" Lyra asked. Ben nodded, but he didn't smile. "Now," he said, "I know what I am. One final error." The stars above Titan were silent. The wind moved slowly across the dead base, whispering through cracks in broken walls. Ben stood at the edge of the cliff, looking out at the sky. His face was calm. His body no longer glowed. But something inside him had changed forever. Lyra stood behind him, quiet. "It's coming," she said. Ben nodded. "I know." High above, the collector fleet had returned. But this time they didn't hide. 5 massive ships blocked the sky like floating cities. Their surfaces moved like liquid metal. And at the center, the largest one, the core collector, began to open. Ben stepped forward. "I need to finish this." Lyra grabbed his arm. "Once you go in, you might not come back." "I'm not supposed to," Ben said softly. They took a small ship into orbit. The closer they got, the more the ship trembled. The collector's mind was awake. Its whispers touched Ben's thoughts again. "You are the key. Come home. End the pain." Ben didn't answer. The main gate opened. Inside, the walls looked like living silver. The floor pulsed under their feet. No machines, no lights. Just thought. The core was waiting. A sphere of darkness and light, both at once. It was alive and angry. "You're not supposed to exist," Ben said. The core pulsed. "Your kind made us, then left us. We only want to return. You destroy everything. We only copy. You destroy yourselves." Ben stepped closer. "You tried to replace me, but I'm not like the others, am I? You are both. That is your curse. And your gift." Ben looked at Lyra. She nodded once. "Now is the time." Ben reached inside his jacket. Inside was the crystal cube Lyra gave him. He threw it into the core. The core screamed. Not in sound, but in thought, pain, shock, memory. The cube released every image it held, truths the collectors had buried, pain they had caused, the faces they erased, and then the core began to break. Fractures opened. Light poured out. The entire ship shook. Ben stepped into the beam of light. Lyra screamed, "No!" But Ben looked back at her, smiling softly. "I remember now," he said, "what it means to care, to choose, to protect." His body began to disappear, bit by bit. Fingers, hands, face. "I'm not just a key," he whispered. "I'm the door." The collector fleet froze. Then, one by one, the ships cracked. Light exploded in every direction. Titan lit up like a second sun, and then silence. Days later, Lyra stood alone on Titan's surface. The sky was clear. No shadows, no whispers, just wind. She carried the silver plate that once scanned Ben's heart. Now it no longer glowed, but she still held it close. A message had appeared on it. 4 words. "I chose the light." She smiled and let the wind take it. Far away, on a distant moon, a small child sat alone under the stars. She looked up. Her eyes glowed faintly. and a whisper only she could hear said, "Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen." But it wasn't fear this time. It was a promise.